Hi. My one question for any person who wants to know if their art applies to Devia is this. Is this art? Because maybe it's not art yet. I can't decide that for you. You have to decide and figure out if this is art. It's the Dr. Jim Show! Hi, I'm Jim Van Manen, and I work at Columbia College, Chicago. I'm a professor here. I'm hard of hearing, and I was raised with deaf parents. And I'm talking about something related to Devia, deaf view art. This concept and the heart of it started with deaf people, this movement, and they were kind enough to allow it to apply to certain others. But let's back up. I'll give you an example. I was raised not as an artist. I made art when I was young, sure. I didn't study art. As any of my degrees, I have no degrees in art. I studied teaching and other things, and later in life started taking classes in graphic design in 1990. And I took a variety of classes. I learned a lot of different programs and such on computer. So I've been doing this since 1990. And I realized over time that I had an art education through this experience. And I'm not being big-headed about this. I found this out by talking with people who had an art degree and asking them to do certain things for me, and they would tell me they didn't know how. And I would be confused because they had a degree in graphic design and they didn't know what I knew. But they hadn't worked with these programs for many years like I had. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, they must know other things that I don't know. It's not up to me. So I kept learning more about art as I went, but I did not call myself an artist. I didn't go around saying, hey, I'm an artist to people when I started. I often said at the beginning, when I was formulating what I wanted to do and thinking about making art, I said, I am trying to make art. I saw myself as a novice, someone who was a beginner. And I said I was trying to make art. And I progressed. And a lot of my art related to hands, a lot of my art related to American Sign Language, a lot. And people bought my art in the 1990s and early 2000s. I sold over 100 pieces. And then I realized during that time in the early 2000s, I realized, oh, okay, I guess I'm an artist. And this was because people purchased my art, they recognized me as an artist. It didn't mean that I was being self-important and saying, oh, I was an artist. It meant that I was calling myself what they had been calling me. I was following what other people who knew about art, I was following the label that they were using. They were giving me the label they used for themselves. So they called me an artist, and I learned something. It was kind of touching. I kind of figured out, oh, I can call myself an artist. But my question for any person who wants to know if their artwork applies to Devia, I really think a more basic question is your work art? Maybe it isn't art yet. And I can't decide that for you. You have to decide that and figure that out for yourself to determine if this is art. If you have a degree in art, you'll know what the foundations of an art practice are, and you'll understand this. And then because you have this degree, you will know how to judge, because people have explained this to you, so you'll know what art is. If you don't have a degree in art, it means you have to think more to figure out whether or not you're an artist. First of all, if mom likes your art, that's not enough. If my fourth grade teacher loves my art, that's not enough. If my husband or my wife loves my art, that's not enough either. But if people buy your art, and people you don't know praise your work, but hold on again, I have to add a bit. If we're talking about Facebook, that's a little bit like grandma and teacher and your favorite teacher and your mom and your husband or wife. Facebook is not a great judge as to whether or not you're an artist. If Facebook people tell you that you're an artist, I personally say that's not a good judge. It depends on who those people are, partially. Who's saying that my work is art? To me, that's more important. If that person is a recognized artist, they have a degree in art, people recognize their work. If that's true, and that person calls my work art, then maybe I'm an artist. It's like a jury. People are on a panel to determine whether or not someone can join their group. For an art show, for example, it's a juried art show and you're accepted into it, that means your art fits that show. If not, maybe it's not art. And it's not me being negative and saying your work isn't art. That isn't my point. I want you to do just what I did, learn and try and work on being an artist. Do your best to the point where, in my case, my work was recognized as art. Or for yourself, go get a degree in art. And then for sure you'll learn what it means to become an artist. And be sure to subscribe to the Dr. Jim Show on YouTube.